this. We're just waiting to see if it can set up appropriately. We do have SPY rejecting, so it's making me think NQ is going to start to follow suit here and dump along with NVIDIA getting weak, right? We see NVIDIA is weak, MU is weak, AMD, it did get a breakout at 218, but it ended up coming back into the range here. I have 612 puts ready for NQ, QQQ. So NQ shorts, QQQ, 612 puts are what I have ready. I'm wanting to see if we fail this bounce level aggressively. Because remember, 25,342 and 614,38. I'm watching to see if we bounce it. That's what I'm watching to see if we get upward momentum. If we do, I'm not looking to take the bounce anymore. I don't want to take the actual bounce. What I want to do is see mainly where this 30 seconds where we close, but I want to see if we can reclaim 25,385 while SPY and NVIDIA are strong. If we can do that, I would be glad to take calls again. But what I think is going to happen, SPY is going to flip red, NVIDIA is going to break this 190 level, and I think we're going to start to flush. If that happens and we fail this 340 level, I'm going to get into shorts, NQ shorts and QQQ puts if we fail through this level, okay? Those Tesla contracts, by the way, they hit about 60% profit basically immediately. AMD, the breakout here probably is going to actually pay this time on AMD, guys. I don't want to take my third trade on AMD because then I can't trade the market with you. I wouldn't be able to trade NQ, so I'm going to skip on AMD personally. Look at Tesla. Let it keep rocking on Tesla, guys. There you go. There you go. Nice. Tesla is about 80% profit here on Tesla. You're sitting about 80% profit here currently on Tesla. Let that thing keep rocking. You got room to 425.39. I would take another trim here on Tesla, guys. This is where I would take another trim right here. It's going to be about 80% profit right there. All right. See how the market keeps showing weakness and coming back to our bounce level? You guys see that? QQQ puts, guys. I'm going to give it a shot. NQ shorts, QQQ puts. Entry is going to be at 345. This is going to be my last trade for me personally. There we go. Taking the first trim here. First trim here, everybody. 15% profit, first trim. Nice. Stops are at entry, just in case. If I don't get much more out of it, that's fine. There we go. There we go. Sitting at about 30 points currently. 30 points profit here, guys. Let's watch it flush to this 4-hour level. 70 points profit. Really nice entry just because it didn't move when I entered, which I was a little worried about. The whole point of entering at the tape is it should flush immediately when I enter. But all right, taking my second trim here on NQ, QQQ, everyone. Taking my second trim right here. 30% profit. A little higher on QQQ. I'm sorry, on NQ. You guys are obviously making a little bit more money than us, but options is not doing the greatest. So that's 43 points profit right here. Now I'll target 70 points for that third trim on NQ, QQQ, all right? We are approaching QQQ pre-market low, which is where we actually bounced yesterday. Just an FYI. We bounced there yesterday, so I would be majority out pretty soon. Either now, or if you're going for a little bit more, I would be majority out. I'll leave that up to you guys. Very clean trade here. If you can sell now, and you'd be happy, guys, it's all about walking away while being satisfied with your trade. So this is a great full exit area. All right. Great full exit area. I only have 25% of my position remaining for full transparency. I am already majority out of this trade. It's not hard to switch bias, Rashid. Not when you're reading volume. It's not hard to switch your bias. Trust me. Like I said, when you've learned to read volume, you're pretty much it's kind of like watching a green liquid flow through a tube or red liquid flow through a tube. When there's good volume, that's what it's like. When there's bad volume, it's like the liquid's clear. You have no idea where it's trying to go. Remember, we're majority out of the trade because we can bounce that order block down there. All right. I know it's not a 100-point trade, but we are majority out. Stop losses are at entry. We're majority out just because of this order block down here. Remember, this was based on SPY starting to get weak. Let me just for someone, because Rashid, I'm assuming you know my prep wasn't sufficient for you. Let me walk this over with you. What exactly did I like, and what was I going over in order to take this for shorts as opposed to watching it for a bounce? So we push to the upside. As we push to the upside, the market gets some good movement. It does go into drawdown. I'm not trying to refute that. Our first call out trade, it went into drawdown. Like I said, I saw negative 12% on the contracts, and then it took off. I saw 15%. I got my trim. It stopped me at entry. At the same time, Tesla just took me out. So now, once we see it start to reject, SPY was still strong. I identified the divergence and said it out loud to you guys because I'm sitting here going, man, that's not good. One of these is going to give it up. They can't both keep going in the opposite direction. That's not going to happen. Okay, so one of these is going to give it up. You have SPY pushing to the upside. You have NQ coming to the downside here, expressing weakness on the market, obviously for the tech sector especially, which is why, because NASDAQ's focus on the tech sector is why I'm highlighting NVIDIA. If you noticed at the time, NVIDIA, I was mentioning, hey, look, we're approaching this 190.58 level, and we're trying to sell through that level. And I said, if SPY starts to reject this range, third trim on NQQQQ right here, third trim. This is 60 points profit currently, 60 points profit. Again, we are in that range, QQQ pre-market low and this order block. We should see a bounce. We should see some type of pullback here. So if you don't want to deal with any crazy pullback, just letting you know yet again. Anyways, go back to the reasoning for the shorts. So as we're seeing NQ start to mess around, F arounds, reject, whatever you want to call it up here, because it was getting crazy. Those wicks were wild. Now what I'm seeing is NVIDIA's weakness. I am now seeing SPY start to reject my 695.30 level. That's why I told you guys way ahead of time, I'm getting my 612 puts ready and NQ shorts ready. All right, there's the bottom of that zone. There's 70 points profit. This is a 4-hour key level that we're tapping. 4-hour key level here on NQ. QQQ. Let me drag this up because this is clearly wrong. I'm going to delete that. No, that one's still good, actually. I'm going to move this one up. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure these match each other. All right. So, oh, wow, how wonderful. During my yapping, I didn't move my contracts. All right, well, it fully sold me for QQQ as well. I swear, sometimes I'm so focused on talking, I forget about my own trade. I didn't have many contracts left, but still. So I had a quarter of my position. Well, 15%. I had 15% of my position. It sold my whole position down here. For transparency, I'm fully out of the trade here at 81 points profit. So not much I can do about that. On the contracts, just so everyone's aware, I don't know if I said that out loud. My fill was $1.15 a contract on the 612 puts. $1.15. We went to a high of $1.87. Whatever. All right. Both trades sold out of early today. This must be what some of you guys feel like. When you just sell too early when you didn't want to, really. It is what it is. It's fine. Pretty good trades so far today, though, right? Between Tesla and NQ with this nice dump here. Again, this is 80 points profit. You're never going to be upset about an 80 point full exit. You're never going to be upset about that. A good reentry. I don't know. I don't really have one, Sam. I don't know why you wouldn't have entered this. It was extremely slow. You had about a whole 4 seconds where when we entered, price didn't really move. The only reentry I can think about for you is a retest of the bounce level. That's it. So the reason I had such strong conviction here for shorts at 345, just a little bit prior to the bounce level, is because we're seeing continued selling pressure. We're seeing a rejection because remember I was talking about 415 as that super stubborn level. You guys remember me talking about that in the pre-market? I said even if for some reason we took a breakout at 399, I would be scaling out by 415 because we could see a nasty rejection there. So we just rejected it a little bit early. And now we're starting to sell through. And we did remember the macro view when we zoomed out. We can see a pretty big dump on the market today because we might just see basically it just engulf the previous day's price action. We've seen it happen many times. So, this 4-hour key zone down here is the last line of defense. Obviously, that's why we're out of the majority of the trade now. So that way, if it does bounce and come back to your entry, it's not that big of a deal. In my opinion, as long as it stays below this 4-hour key level, 25,342, like let's say this dumped 200 points, came back up to 342, I would be worried. I would be cautious of 342 that it would reject again. I would be very cautious of that. But then as we're watching price come back down in the range here, what I'm seeing is a lot of orders, not too many, but a good amount of orders come in and hit the tape on order book level 2. I'm starting to see that failure, that weakness on the volume footprint at the same time. Point of control had shifted for us by that point. So by the second candle, point of control had shifted to 25,349. That's where point of control was. Let me go ahead and show it to you right here, especially for those of you that are new and have no idea. So this point of control that I was seeing right here, I was telling myself on this second push through, I'm like, look, we slipped below that key level. We're now trying to push below that. And as we're trying to come through this right here, right, as we're taking this entry, all I'm telling myself is we have a point of control above us at a beautiful key level, and we're now starting to slip through rather aggressively, okay? At the time, point of control was here when we were going to take that entry. It was here at this level. So I'm telling myself, all right, it's either going to bounce here for an aggressive support play, or it's going to absolutely snap through this level and point of control is going to follow suit. And sure enough, that's what happened. Point of control slipped from here, basically from this range right here, all the way down. You can see it forming now as kind of a resistance area. And now it's getting tight in this range because these point of controls are all basically consolidating in this little area. But that combined mainly with the order book level 2 is what gave me the confidence to take this trade, the weakness there. Okay. I would never switch my game plan on the fly. That's why, I was telling you guys ahead of time, like, hey, look, if we see too much weakness on NVIDIA, if we see too much weakness on SPY, I will switch and enter into shorts at our bounce level instead of going for calls. Because, right, a lot of you guys in here are Marines, but adapt and overcome, we need to be able to see where price is going to fluctuate, where price is going to change. So just something you want to be thinking about. Good job, Nicholas. That's awesome. That's incredible. Yes, I will. I just started a YouTube, so you just got to give me some time. Thank you, Jesse. No, we're just holding this for now. We're just holding this. Let it do its thing. Let it do its thing. Again, the only retest I can really think about is if somehow it comes up to 343 area, you could try to look for a reentry. I just think that's a little risky because odds are if we bounce this zone, odds are we're going to actually bounce. So there's a high likelihood you could even try to take a retest up here and get stopped out. No, Tyler, that's impossible. There was 0 drawdown for my entry. So you did not take my entry. Let me put it on a 1 minute. There's no way. I saw 0% drawdown on my contracts. There's no way you got stopped out. That's the entry right there. Look at the entry. That is physically impossible. We literally entered on the way down. There's no way you could have been stopped out. Oh, first trade. Sorry. I could see that. Yeah. Look at these wicks. Look at these wicks. I could totally see that. These wicks were astronomical. So, but to, I don't know if I'm using that term right, play devil's advocate here. This trade where y'all are 81 points in profit, I just noticed at every trim spot, I was less profit percentage-wise than I would have been futures-wise, if that makes sense. So like on that first trim around 20 points profit, I only saw about 15% profit. And then on that next trim that was around 40 points or 45 points, I only saw about 35%. The contracts weren't moving as well as futures were, if that makes sense. But yeah, I could totally see that on the first trade. That's just one of those things, man. I mean, look at that. That's some crazy wicks, right? That's crazy. There's really nothing we could have done about that besides skipping it, maybe, right? Like if you were just waiting, but I don't like to skip setups where I see orders coming in on the tape, because those are the same setups that take off, like yesterday. Those are the same ones that take off. And if I allow the possibility, because remember, you don't know this is going to happen. If I allow the possibility of getting stopped out scare me from taking my trade, we're never going to become good traders, right? We're always going to allow fear to rule our setups, where this could have just as much, it could have easily just as happened like this, right? The same thing could have happened. So if you took a loss here, that's okay. You just take it and you go, all right, cool. This could be a good lesson for the second trade here. If I take a loss in the first trade, let's say I trade with 10 MNQ. I get in, I take a full size stop, 15 or 20 points. Some of you guys use 20 points. Let's say I take a 20-point stop loss. That's $400. All right. Now let's say I'm getting my second shot at my second trade. If I jump into the second trade, one, I do want to be using roughly at least the same position size on the second trade, because it gives me an equal opportunity to get back into the trade. I want to be able to get back in if I can. I don't want to sit there and be like, oh, well, I took a loss, so let me go half size on the second trade, because now I need double the ROI, double the net ROI to break even on the day. And that's going to cause, trust me, a lot of frustration, because you're going to take a losing trade, then you're going to take a winning trade. You're more than likely still going to be red on the day. You're going to be highly, highly upset about it. So that's something you want to be keeping in mind. Me personally, if I take a loss, my second trade is the same position size at a minimum. At a minimum, it's the same position size. Now, got in on this bounce right here. Some of you got in on the 4-hour level bounce as it was occurring, but we anticipated this bounce. We mentioned it. We said this is a key area, this order block. That's why we're majority out of the trade. 90 points down there at the bottom. And it doesn't even look like it wants to pull back. It's just pulling back to 361. Let me move this out of the way. Yeah. If it can't even slip below 385, that just shows how much strength this had. It's more than likely going to take off. All right. If you're trying to take a break of 400, again, just be cautious of 415. Okay. Points. Boom. That's what that would look like if you're trying to shoot for it. Like I drew earlier with your stop loss criteria. I'm not in this. All right. It's obviously just ripped straight up here. The fact that it's broken above this 4-hour key level, though, I would shoot for 100 points personally. If it was me waiting for a trade, I would have waited. I don't think I would have taken that 25,400 breakout personally. I would have your stop at entry. Whenever I did call this out, it was right here. Let me see actually what that looks like over here. 487 is that next key level. Let me adjust this a little bit. Hello? Am I? Oh, is it popped up right here? All right. Sweet. Okay. So real quick, did you guys like, obviously that open trade was a little difficult. That was a little difficult, right? It went into drawdown, easily could have been stopped out the whole nine. However, the short trade here, whether you took it or you didn't, how many of you liked the explanation, the trade itself, especially after the fact, once you saw it work? How many of you liked that? Tell me with these emojis. How many of you liked that trade? Pretty good in terms of, you know, how the slow execution, hey, this is why we're switching the bias, the whole nine, okay? So really solid to see that play out. Brian, what was your second loss on? The only loss I could have seen you guys taking would have been this. That's the only thing. You could have taken a loss here. Totally. Oh, that was me mistyping it. It was not 25 points. Oh, it was. Okay. I was looking at it all funny in the 1 minute. $400 pullback? Oh, like you took a rejection? If you're in long since 385, Fabrizio up here, my friend. If you want to be a little bit safe, I would say right here, 487. 487, I would say, is a safe level. If it was me, I would want to hit 100 points. It's just nice with one MNQ to hit 100 points because you know, like, okay, one MNQ, I just made $200 with one MNQ. So that's why I like to target 100 points. But just keep in mind, 100 points is 25,500, which is a key level. Well, it's right before that. You also have this 4-hour key level right before that. So there's a good probability it can get rejected prior. I would say it would be safe once you get up there, if you're shooting for that, to just have a trailing stop, maybe of 40 points, just to be safe on the safe side. Yeah, I saw a lot of people entered from 385. A lot of people entered at 385. Y'all have a wonderful day. Pretty solid trades today. I loved the short. The short was the best trade. I'm very happy with that short trade. 90 points profit on the short trade. The market's just got a tight range today, but luckily we traded that range relatively well. We traded it very well. Tesla was a beautiful trade also for anyone that got in on my call outs. I'm glad I was able to call that out. I know it was around the same time as QQQ, but it is what it is. Even if you entered a little bit late, obviously you can see you were fine for the Tesla trade. All right. All right, guys. Wonderful day. Boom. Oh, what terrible lighting. 1% better every single day. I will see you guys tomorrow morning.